Hey, Crash Test here, and I die, so you don't have to. And let's play Super R-Type on the SNES. I was looking forward to this game after playing Thunder Spirits recently on the SNES, so this is, you know, I've not really played it much before, but I always thought Super R-Type was the daddy and the benchmark for all shooters, so let's see how it is. So it starts off pretty simple stuff. The first level is called Space. Standard rapid fire, various power-ups, that's a speed up. You can hold the other button down and get a burst fire. So it's all pretty simple stuff so far, not too bad. The craft handles really well. After playing Thunder Spirits, as I said, the last game I played, the last shooter on the SNES, this handles like a dream, it is really smooth. So still on the first level, slightly variation in the enemies. Yeah, I missed the power up there, that thing which flew past. Oh, you're probably wondering why the craft is flashing. I'm using a cheat cartridge because in this game, one hit and you're dead and you're back to the start of the level. And I can't be arsed with that. Even though the levels are only 2 to 7 minutes long. I'm not replaying every level over and over again. Especially when you come to the boss enemies which just shit on you even on the easiest levels. So again, that would have killed me straight away then. Music's not too bad, give it that for an old game. I think this was one of the very first SNES games that was released. There was 4 games, wasn't there? F-Zero, Tennis, SimCity, and I think this was the other game. I'm probably wrong, but I'm sure there was 4 for a long time. But yeah, as you can see here, it's really hard to guess the attack patterns. Get hit once, back to the start of the level. Very annoying. I think there's 7 levels in all, so if you get to the game without dying, it won't happen even on the easiest difficulty setting, it's going to take you about 40 minutes to complete the game, which isn't too bad, but you'll turn it off way before you get to that point. You should die soon. Okay, second stage, which is called Ruins. What you can see now, you've got a drone. And you can disengage it and send it forward or backwards, and it will act independently by itself and shoot the enemies, which is really good. It's a really good feature for this game. Any enemies which come in contact with it will also die. And you can see that can also get various power-ups itself. So the weapons are very good, you just got to make sure that you get the right ones to suit the enemies in the level, which doesn't always happen. But again, it's all standard stuff. It is very slow. I prefer Twitch shooters to this granddad style of shoot 'em ups, which is one of my biggest gripes. Come on, you're not really doing anything, this is just way too easy. Okay, on a harder difficulty level, but again, one hit and you're done, you're back at the start of the game, and no, I'm not having that. Couple that with infinite continues, and there's no real sense of urgency to the game. It hasn't got that one more go feel. And this is on an American machine, so it's running nearly 20% faster. So yeah, it's too slow for my liking. Again, this is one really good example of how the weapons really work. Send it out in front of you and it does all the work. But come on, this is just far too slow. Can you get to the end of the level? Got another weapon here. And you're telling me you can kill this baddie without dying? Without getting hit once. It is actually possible once you learn the attack patterns, but again you're going to come to the enemy, play him 5 or 6 times to learn what to do. Yeah, you'll give up before then. So you can shoot these little things, they're not a problem. You can avoid that beam. So it's just that whatever thing he throws at you, that shiny ball. The orb on the front of the ship can block enemy attacks. And it will kill enemies which come into contact. So this is pretty easy. I'm not a fan of the big large sprites, and especially on some levels where there's just stupid amounts of slowdown, and add the slow gameplay, this quickly becomes a very average and boring shoot 'em up in my opinion. The first few levels are quite good, what we've seen so far, you might look at it and think, yeah, it's quite decent, and it's not too bad, but it becomes old and tired very quickly. So you can use the drone behind. Music's very good for this level, I'll give it that. And we've got another add-on here, which is the standard missiles. With these enemies, you just shoot them and then they gain speed and they fly out of the way, so they're not hard at all. This is one of the better levels. Again, another weapon there, but what's the point? There's no enemies which are on the top or the bottom of the screen, so it's a pretty useless weapon. Just got to pick a spot with these and shoot them and then they'll fly out of the way. This weapon is really good, but you don't really get much chance to use it in this game. Okay, and this is another example of how the orbs really work well. You go one way, send the orb another way. Yeah, and with the invulnerability cheat on, I can go through scenery. And again, you can use it and kill the enemies behind you, which is a really great idea. But it's so slow and pedestrian. To me, this is not the idea of a fun shooter. But so far, you can go through it without getting hit pretty easily. The weapons are slightly overpowered. The little, what's that little thing above me? That will block enemies, not their fire, but if the enemies move into it, they will die. So obviously it's a good add-on to have. So although there's lots of fire, there's lots of enemies, you can get through this pretty quickly, especially with the weapons you've got available. But doing this on a hard level and not getting hit, it's stupid. They should have implemented a shield system to at least give you a bit of help. But again, this is fine. If the whole game was like this, it would be reasonably fun. But it's not, so it isn't. Yeah, this is fine. Just make it a little bit quicker. And this would be perfectly acceptable. 8 out of 10, no problem. Yeah, don't make the mistake I did in picking these crap weapons because, I don't know, I just don't like it. Missiles are great and the little orb thing above me is good, but nah, I'm not a fan of the blue fire. My recording device cut out now. All you basically need to do is charge your weapon, and when he sticks his head out, shoot it. And that's it. You'll stick his head out the left hole or the right hole. Piece. Fourth stage, and it's called Giant Spaceship, yes. And this is where the game just takes a dive. It's absolutely terrible from this point onwards. Come on, how slow and boring is this? I don't see how anybody can find this level fun. It's just far too slow for my liking. All they needed to do was make the enemy sprite smaller, move the red dwarf ship up a little bit higher, and just put some scenery in the background so it looks like you're actually going forward at a speed, and then just throw some small enemies at us. But come on, what are you doing? You've got the button held down and you're not moving. Space sperm there, and that's basically all you do for 6 minutes. Boring as hell. And then you come to the end of the level boss, which is called Prisoner, I think. Again, this boss isn't too bad. The thing on the front of his ship will block all his fire. And again, just get out of the way of those silver fiery things, and that's about it. So this is possible to do without getting hit, if you're paying attention. And actually had a decent weapon rather than this pile of shit laser, which I'm not a fan of. Okay, so you thought the fourth stage was bad. Stage 5, Mining Field. Again, how slow is this? This is terrible. You can probably guess by now I'm not a big fan of this game. It had so much potential and a lot of promise, you know. I like the sound on a few of the levels. I like the use of the weapons to a certain extent. But this is not fun, you know. Holding the button down and not moving is not my idea of a good shooter. It just doesn't have that one more go feel to it. Granted, on a higher difficulty level it will be more challenging, but then, you know, one hit and you're dead and you've got to start again, and I don't plan on spending hours replaying the same levels over and over again to die at the end. Okay, end of level boss. Now this has potential, but it's far too slow and far too clunky to be fun. Now it's something different. It's a boss fight which actually has some thought put into it. But again, it's far too slow. You can avoid his fire pretty easy. And you can avoid the scenery. Send the drone thingy out in front to kill him. It's not too bad, but I don't know, they don't quite pull it off. I did actually cut quite a bit out of the fourth stage of the giant spaceship because it's basically one level full of slowdown and yeah. Anyway, not to be too negative on the game. Right, it's this sixth stage, recycling factory in space. Yeah, never mind. Again, you don't have to move, you hold the fire button down. People fall above you, hit those little orby things and they die. Send the drone out in front and that'll kill everyone. This is basically all you have to do. Music's not too bad, it's adequate. The sound effects are reasonably alright. But it's so slow, you just... You get the picture by now. And it's the boss of the recycling plant. And it's called Recycler, yes. Pretty standard stuff again. Shoot his weak points. This boss is probably pretty easy to do without getting hit. He doesn't really offer too much of a threat. It's easy enough to dodge his fire. There's a cheating way you can kill this one at the end, so I'll show it in a bit. One thing I find is when you haven't got that attachment on your ship, you are really weak in terms of your firepower. So they should have had some weapons where you can actually shoot a lot out of your ship yourself, rather than just rely on the drone thingy. Which Thunder Spirits does pretty well. I like the weapons in that game, and they're suited to the environment, which I don't think they are in this game fully. Again, it's pretty easy stuff. Why don't I just do that from the start? No. And it's the last stage with flying penises and crabs. I don't know whether we're actually inside the enemy, but again, it's... I don't know, the weapons don't really suit the game. Well, maybe I shouldn't have selected this, but that's basically all you do for like 5 or 6 minutes, and yeah, it's a little bit slow. Right, you're telling me you can do this boss without getting hit once? Yeah, right. Why is he throwing spaceships at us, yellow ones? Are those other people who've come in here and died? I don't know. It's not too bad if you got the drone thingy on the front and not the back of your ship as I've got now and didn't realise. You know, you can dodge things from above with those two orb thingies. You've got the drone on the front, so it's doable to go reasonably far if you've got the orange fire, which we had before, which was, you know, that's a really good weapon to have. You just send the drone to the centre and it will kill the life form of it, whatever. Yeah, we do this for 5 minutes, but in real life you'll die pretty easy. And that's about it. In summary, I was actually quite looking forward to this game because from what I remember from when I was younger, this was kind of the benchmark of all SNES shooters. But as you can probably guess, I'm not a big fan of this game at all. For me, it handles brilliantly, the sound isn't too bad, and the weapons aren't too bad. They could be improved a little bit, but it's far too slow, it's far too lethargic. You know, you get hit once and you've got to start at the back of the level again. And infinite continues, you're like, I don't really want to play this game again, and I probably won't. It's okay, but all they needed to do was copy the first few levels, make the game quicker, the enemy sprites smaller, and slightly improve the weapons, and they'd have a really good game. Granted, it would be completely different, but for me, I prefer fast twitch shooters, which just are addictive and have that one more go feel, and for me, it doesn't. So I'm kind of thinking about selling this game. I don't know whether to keep it in my collection, but it's super R-type, but it's not my type of game.